What is up, guys? Welcome all the newcomers to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Since I've had this bike for what, a year or two now, we're going to do a long-term review on the 2020 MT09, which would be 17 through 20 because they're all the same. And all my long-term viewers know that I used to have a 2016 R1. So I'm not going to go easy on this review because I'm going to be comparing it to a bike like that and any kind of other bike that I've rode like the MT, such as the 07. So to start out, this sitting position on this bike and the nice upright position is extremely comfortable, especially for somebody like me that has back issues. The MT09 is the middle child of the MT07 and the MT10. And I must say that there's nothing median about it because this thing is a lot if you want it to be a lot. Like, it can do absolutely anything and everything you want it to do. It has torque for days. It is plenty fast. And one thing to note that makes the 09, you know, more of an aggressive riding position than the 07 is the foot position. So the footrest on an 09 is more of that of an R1 or an MT10 or an R6. So they sit back and they're very aggressive like. The 07 is more of a standard, so it sits straight underneath of you and you sit more like very standard, less aggressive. The 09 is definitely meant for riding. However, you can also use it to commute on. You can ride it hard. However you want to do it. You can hoon on it. Okay, it has absolutely no issues bringing the front wheel up if you want it to. It has 3 modes. We're in standard right now, or STD. It's not a transmitted disease. It's just standard. It's kind of like the happy median between A mode and B mode. So standard mode, everything's very consistent with the throttle. So when I roll on it, like, yeah, the torque kind of pushes you and everything, and that wasn't full throttle, by the way, but it's very consistent with the throttle. Now if I put it in B mode, okay, that's A, let's go to B. It's super fluid, so compare it to like a 300. So I'm rolling on it now and everything is just super fluid through these corners. There's no herky-jerky business like the first gen MT09s. However, if you're into the herky-jerky business, all you have to do is push the button another time, or twice, because now we're back in standard. We put it in A mode, so you can change modes on the fly as long as you're not on the throttle. So now A mode, if you get on it in A mode, it's very instant, like it's just there. See, the front wheel just came up a hair when I shifted it. So A mode is extremely aggressive. We got a guy on a four-wheeler. How's it going, buddy? But A mode, very aggressive, very, A is for angry. It's very aggressive in A mode. So we're gonna go back to standard mode now, because standard mode is very comfortable. You know, comparing this bike to my R1, the brakes on this bike are very squishy. They're not, I mean, like, you can stop if you need to stop, like it's gonna stop, okay? But I'm just comparing it to an R1 because that was the top of the line bike that I've owned, and so I can't think of anything more wrong to compare this thing to. You know, like, what do you compare a naked 900 to? Oh, well, you compare it to the state-of-art freaking R1, right? It's just, you know, it's so you know that I'm going to be hard on this, so you can watch this in confidence and know that I'm not just saying good things about it because I'm riding it. But anyway, the brakes are a little squishy. They're not braided lines like what's on the R1, so I could put braided lines on it and they'll probably feel fantastic. I haven't done that yet. I haven't even put an exhaust on this bike. I've just kind of did aesthetic things and, you know, I just ride it. Another thing to note is the suspension. So the suspension is okay for me and my body weight. I'm 5'5" and I weigh about 138, 140. We'll just round up, say 140 pounds, okay? So I need to adjust the suspension a little bit to stiffen it up because it is even too squishy for me. Now, if you are a bigger guy or female, you might want to think about, you know, investing in a better suspension for this bike if you are going to take it to like track days and such like that. However, back road riding like I am right now, no big deal. You can just enjoy the bike and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to push the suspension hard enough on a road like I'm on right now to really max it out. But it is very squishy, especially at like higher speeds if you hit a bump in a corner. So, you know, if you were going to get one of these to track and you were a heavier person, definitely might want to think about a better suspension. But unlike my R1 was very uncomfortable. After about 35 to 45 minutes of riding that bike, I was absolutely miserable. Now, the reason I got rid of that is because I have back issues, and, you know, after a while it did make my back issues worse. So I decided to get an upright bike like this one that would be more comfortable, and man, is it more comfortable. The upright position really takes the weight off of you. So I can ride this for hours upon hours without, you know, really any fatigue or back pain or anything like that. Now, if you are shorter than 5'5", as I mentioned, I am 5'5", so I cannot flat foot this bike. Okay, keep in mind, you do not have to flat foot a bike to ride it. It's all in what you're comfortable with, right? So just make sure you're comfortable with the bike, that you're, whoa, what do we got in this corner? That's not good. Okay. Anyway, so it'd be good to like sit on one and make sure that you're comfortable. Like with me, I'm fine just pulling up to a red light, putting one foot on the rear brake, and then leading the bike over and balancing on one foot. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm comfortable with that, so I'm totally fine with bigger bikes. If you're shorter than me, you definitely need to make sure that you are comfortable doing what I just said. If you're comfortable with that, then, you know, you'd totally be fine on an MT09. If you're thinking about an MT09 for a first bike, would I recommend it? Absolutely not. However, it is possible to start on this bike. Like I said, you can put it in B mode and it's just as fluid and consistent as a 300. However, it's a whole lot faster and a whole lot more torqueier than a 300 or a 250. It's also very top heavy compared to one of those lighter bikes. So think about that. If this is your first bike, make sure you get something that's you're comfortable on. Don't get this because somebody says that 300s are for biatches, okay? 300s are not for biatches. 300s are a lot of fun. Anyway, back on talking about the MT09. I'm getting off track because I ramble a lot. One thing to know about this bike as opposed to the 07 that I figured out from riding an 07 and sitting on an 07 and an 09 back to back, it sounds very weird, but the 09 is actually more narrow right here by the tank than an 07 is. The seat on an 07 is like more wider in the front as opposed to this bike. However, this seat widens the further that you go back. It's like a big banana seat. And so I found this bike easier to put my feet down than an 07, if that makes any sense, because I do have small legs, and on an 07 the footrests are right underneath of you. So when you go to put your feet down, yes, I could touch the ground better on an 07, but I had to go around the foot peg, so I was losing that clearance. Like, it was a very uncomfortable for me to, you know, if I was putting both feet down, it was more uncomfortable for me to sit still, if that makes any sense. I know what I'm trying to say, but it's easier to show you than to, you know, tell you about it, and I don't have an 07 on hand right now. But the 09, where it has more of an aggressive footing position and it's narrower here, it's easier for me to just drop my foot off with nothing in the way, so that when I stop at a red light, it's no big deal for my little legs, right? Anyway, I hope that made sense. But if I had to rate the MT09, if I had to give it like, you know, 1 out of 10 stars, 10 being the absolute best that it could possibly be, I would give it a solid like 7.5, 8, because the bike is fantastic. It is literally great in every way possible, minus, you know, like I said, the suspension and the brakes. But you can fix that with some gravels in the road. You can fix that with some, you know, aftermarket goodies, braided brake lines, better brake pads, you know, like Owens makes suspension for it. Whatever you're into, you know, they basically make the right thing for this bike to fit any rider. So I would give it a solid 7.5, 8, because, you know, you need to, you know, sort out those problems. Why are you not going, bud? Like, you've had days to go. I have a stop sign. Okay, but if you sort out those issues, this would be a 10 out of 10, no problem. Like, it's a fan-freaking-tastic bike in every way possible, especially for me. Like, I'm fine with the suspension. I have enough adjustment out of the factory suspension to suit my needs. Now, if I went to a track day, it might be different, you know what I mean? Now, the brakes, I have better brake pads, but I have not put them on yet because, you know, it's pretty much the end of the season, and, you know, it's whatever at this point. But, so, you know, I have the things to fix the things that I have issues with. But overall, I highly, highly recommend this bike. So if you're thinking about getting one, definitely freaking get one, because you will enjoy every second on this bike. I know I sure have. It's an amazing bike. It's a load of fun. So I hope this video was a little bit informative. If it was, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Comment if you have any questions at all regarding, you know, the MT09 or anything else. I would be glad to answer them for you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.